Hello. Good day, CJ. Oh, good. It's about time. I got my stuff together, huh? Good day, Denise. Hello, Sister Jeannie. Um, Today is February 11th, 2025, Tuesday. And with that little exercise with the snow shoveling was good, very good for me. But my muscles that I haven't used in a long time are talking to me. And it also reminds me of um, my oldest son, who is living in a cottage on our property that he built, and he decided to heat it solely by wood. And he's had a tough winter trying to do that. But it's really a good lesson because he didn't prepare, and this is what I want to talk about, preparation a little bit. He didn't prepare for enough, if you will, for the winter, and so he has to go out and forage in the snow now for dead wood that most likely I had cut down last year, and but a lot of times that's the way we are too in our faith, is that we presume that we're all good and fine, and then at the last, when we're starting to struggle and see that we didn't prepare, we go out hunting, we go looking. Hopefully there's many looking right now, and that YouTube is helping out with their search and bringing you here. But there are many who haven't prepared, and that's the sad thing. So we need to pray rosaries for them. But you usually do learn your lesson, and that's why the Most Holy Trinity gives us these little sufferings, some of them bigger than others, in order to prepare us. So let's get started with the Good Day Rising prayers. We'll continue with Give Yourself Credit, because I do want to move through this. I actually have to help my daughter out with something with regards to this, so I really want to get into it and get it perfected. Again, there shouldn't be this struggle through deception, all right? But it is what it is, and yeah, we'll also talk a little bit about preparation. Maybe not today, but coming up in the near future, physically as well as soulfully. All right, let's get started. Oh, and I see I didn't fill up my water glass. We're going to have to do that. In nomine Dei, matronam nostrae, et Deum Iesum Christum, et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Let us place ourselves in the presence of the Most Holy Trinity, and in Catholic contemplation, humbly venerate the Divine Family. Most Holy and Venerable Trinity, one Divine Family, I believe that Thou art here present. I venerate Thee with the deepest humility. I render to Thee with my whole heart the homage which is due to Thee. O Most Holy Trinity, I firmly believe that Thou art one Divine Family. Dea matronam nostrae, et Deum Iesum Christum, et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. And relying on Thine infinite goodness and promises, I hope to obtain pardon of my sins, the help of Thy grace, and life everlasting, through the merits of Deum Iesum Christum, et Deum matronam nostrae. O Most Holy Trinity, I love Thee above all things with my whole heart and soul, because Thou art all good and worthy of all love. I love my neighbor as myself for love of Thee, and I forgive all who have injured me, and ask pardon of all whom I have injured. Let us thank the Most Holy Trinity for the many graces that we receive, and offer ourselves and our sufferings up to heaven, and for the souls in purgatory. O Most Holy Trinity, I most humbly thank Thee for all the favors Thou hast bestowed upon me to the present moment. It is again thanks to thy bounty that I should live to see this day, and I desire to employ it solely in thy service. I consecrate to thee all my thoughts, words, actions, and sufferings of this day. Sanctify them, that there may be none that is not animated by thy love, or that would not tend to thy greater glory. Let us make a firm resolution to avoid evil and to do good. And let us beg of the most holy Trinity the graces which are necessary to us. O most holy Trinity, thou knowest my weakness, and that I am unable to do anything good without the help of thy grace. Deny me not thy grace, proportionate to my necessities. Give me strength to avoid everything which thou forbiddest, to practice the good which thou hast commanded, and enable me patiently to bear all the trials which it may please thee to send me. O Dea Matronam Nostrae, Mother of God, I place myself under thy protection. I throw myself with confidence into the arms of thy compassion. Be to me, O Mother of Mercy, my refuge in distress, my consolation in suffering, now and at the hour of my death. O most holy Trinity, as envisioned by Saint Lucia as the most holy Trinitarian Theophany, Dea Matronam Nostrae et Deum Iesum Christum et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. I am heartily sorry for having offended thee, and I detest all my sins, because I dread the loss of heaven and the pains of hell. But most of all because I have offended thee, O most holy Trinity, who are all good and deserving of all my love. I firmly resolve, with the help of thy grace, to confess my sins, to do penance, and to amend my life. And preparation also would include helping yourself, your family, and your neighbor. So it depends on what point in life you are, would determine where your capabilities are in helping. So when you're younger, you can help everybody before your family. And then when you have your family, you're focused on your family and whatever you can do at their age and whatnot outside of that, your neighbor. And then after that, you get the help. That is if you live a good life. Oh, okay, please bear with me. Let me get my water. It won't take but a second. Thank you. So we're continuing on listing the equity interest recovery chapter. And we ended it yesterday with, therefore, Federal Reserve notes are priority obligations of the United States to the American people, and only secondary obligations of the United States to the Federal Reserve Bank. Okay, so the people come first. They have the first right, if you will. 24. The commerce and credit of the people of the United States of America continues today under the bankruptcy reorganization of the United States, Inc., as it has since 1933, backed by the assets and wealth of the American people, at risk for the federal government's obligations, currency, and Federal Reserve notes. Under the 14th Amendment and numerous Supreme Court precedents, and in equity, the private property of the American people cannot be taken or pledged to the United States for public use and put at risk without due process of law and just compensation, remedial recovery of equity interest via mutual offset credit exemption exchange. The United States cannot pledge and risk the property and wealth of the people of America for any government purpose without legally providing them with remedy to recover the equity interest that is due them on their government-imposed risk. Okay, remember, this is all government-imposed. We didn't ask for this. Courts have long ruled that to have one's property legally held as collateral or surety for a debt, even when one still owns it and has the use of it, is to deprive the owner of his property, since it is at risk. and could be lost for the debt at any unknown time, which may be in the reckoning. The United States Supreme Court said that the Constitution provides that private property shall not be taken for public use without just compensation. United States v. Russell, 13 Wall, 623 and 627. The owners of the assets are presumed to be subrogated to the taker and therefore liable for the taker's payments on his bank loan. I'm going to read that one again. The owners of the assets are presumed to be subrogated to the taker and therefore liable for the taker's payments on his bank loan. Subrogation is the substitution of one party for another whose debt the party pays. For example, the sovereign is presumed to be substituted by the ens legis, the government-created straw man. The right of subrogation is not founded on contract. It is a creature of equity, enforced solely for the purpose of accomplishing the ends of substantial justice, and is independent of any contractual relations between the parties. That's interesting and that's powerful. The American people who own the assets and originating credit are presumed to be subrogated to the corporate United States. Okay, the people, they get that position and are therefore liable for Congress's interest payments to the private non-federal Federal Reserve on our lawmakers' borrowed and ever-increasing national debt. Under the laws of equity, the United States of America cannot hypothecate and rehypothecate the property and wealth of its private citizens and put it at risk as collateral for its currency and credit from the Federal Reserve Bank or any other bank without legally providing its private citizens with an equitable remedy for recovery of what is due them and payable to them upon demand. The United States government does not violate the law nor the Constitution by doing this in order to collateralize its financial reorganization under bankruptcy obligation to the Federal Reserve Bank. Okay, so they stayed within the law. They provided the remedy because the United States government does in fact provide a legal remedy for the recovery of what is due to the people as accrued interest for risking their assets and wealth so that it can legally hypothecate and rehypothecate the private wealth and assets of the people who back its obligations in currency with their substance and credit and their implied consent. The provisions for the remedy are found in Public Policy H.J.R. 192 of 1933, also known as Public Law 73-10, that suspended the gold standard for U.S. currency and abrogated the right to demand payment in gold and made Federal Reserve notes for the first time legal tender backed by the substance or credit of the nation, i.e. backed by the substance and credit of the people of America. All currency since 1933 is only credit backed by the real property, wealth, assets, and future labor of the sovereign people of America, taken from the people by presumptive pledge by the United States and repledged for a secondary obligation to the Federal Reserve Bank. They know this at the top, in the Treasury Department, let's put it that way. The sovereign American people cannot recover what is due them by anything drawn on Federal Reserve notes of debt without expanding their risk and obligation to themselves, because any recovery payments backed by this type of currency would only increase the public debt that they are collateral for, which in equity would not satisfy anything, but which the remedy in equity is intended to reduce, because there is no longer any actual money of substance with which to pay anybody anything. There is no actual money in circulation today by which debt owed by one party to another can actually be repaid. Although declared legal tender for all debts, public and private, in the bankruptcy reorganization. Federal Reserve notes of debt can only discharge charges of debt, whereas debt must be paid with substance, for example, gold, silver, barter, or some commodity, and extinguished. For this reason, the public policy of our current monetary system, HJR 192 of 1933, uses the technical term discharge as opposed to payment in laying out public policy for the monetary system of this new world order. Because a debt cannot pay a debt, a negative charge cannot neutralize a negative charge. It just increases it. Minus $10 minus $10 equals minus $20. Ever since 1933, commerce in the corporate United States and among its sub-corporate entities has been conducted only with negative instruments of debt, i.e. debt note instruments by which the liability of a debt is discharged and transferred to someone else in a different form, but never extinguished until lawful, substance-backed money of account in the United States is restored. Okay, there it goes on, and I don't want to belabor the point. They're just, repeating it different ways. So I want to get to the remedy. Well, we know what the law is for the remedy. HJR 192 of 1933 provides for the discharge of every obligation dollar for dollar. So, for example, if you get a tax bill or let's say that you owe the IRS, quote unquote, you owe the IRS. You don't owe it. The Ens Legis does, but you get the bill because they want you to take care of it. The remedy for equity interest recovery via mutual offset credit exemption exchanged is codified into law. And I think, let's see, I want to see where we're at as far as okay. So yeah, now what he's getting into what we have to do in order to receive the remedy, because there's always an action that's involved. They're not just going to give it to you. You have to process it. So watch what you say. We are not children of the state. We are children of the Most Holy Trinity. We can discharge any debt in the public domain. In the debt system we are working in, the most important tool we have is a blue ink pen. With a blue ink pen, we can give credibility or credit to any document that does not have a blue ink signature on it. Acceptance is a banker acceptance. Okay, that last paragraph was important because most of the times what you get in writing is not signed in the blue ink. And it's interesting, I did send a negotiable instrument to pay off a loan, and they returned everything. Of course, they didn't follow the instructions, and they tried to put this money order without routing numbers and everything on it through their bank system, and of course, it got rejected for no routing number. And again, like I said, they didn't follow directions. So just the other day, after I presented a novation to them, explaining to them that, well, since you refused, the loan doesn't exist now anyway, since you refused tender of payment. But they did respond with a blue ink signature. And so now I am required to respond in like manner. Okay, I can't just move forward as if they didn't respond, which is their normal way of business. So they didn't like that particular form of negotiable instrument, even though they were incorrect, even in their second letter. It really amazes me how unknowledgeable the bankers are today. Acceptance is a banker acceptance. You are accepting the document, the presentment, for payment. You are agreeing to pay it. When you pay the document, the negotiable instrument then belongs to you. Okay, so you get that bill from the IRS, let's just say. All right, it says you owe $2,000. There's no ink, no blue ink signature on it. It's just a bill. You accept it. Okay, and here's where the blue ink pen is very valuable in the world of commerce. Anybody who sends you a bill who does not also send you a check with which to pay it, remember, you're the receiver. You're the receiver of the bankruptcy. Okay, so, and the ens legis was the one who received the bill. If you receive a bill without a check to pay it, which should be the case because you're not the one who's in debt, you are the creditor. Okay, then it has created a public liability for which he didn't provide the remedy. No check, it's a public liability. Everything in commerce is a mirror image, the exact opposite of real life when somebody sends you a presentment. And this is where it takes some thinking to get used to this. In the UCC, the Uniform Commercial Code, in order to create a liability, you have to make a presentment and present it to the libelee. In court, the judge will say to the defendant, "Do you have a copy of the indictment?" Meaning the information on which the indictment is based, meaning the charge against you. When you say no, the judge will say, "Well, here it is." And if you accept it, if you take it, then you accept the liability of the indictment and you have just voluntarily convicted yourself. That's how sneaky this system is. Or the judge might say to the defendant, "Do you understand the charge?" If you reply that you understand the charge, you are saying that you stand under the charge and that you are accepting the liability of the charge. And again, you have just voluntarily convicted yourself. Some redemptors used to get presentments from the IRS, and the IRS would not send the check with which to pay it. So they would write back to the IRS and say, "Thank you very much for what you sent me, but you didn't send the check." After a time, the IRS started sending the check, disguised as a payment voucher. Okay, all right. So now I'm starting to follow that too. I haven't read through all this, so I'm learning too. The IRS presentments usually have a coupon attached at the bottom. That's the check. Okay, so that's what I did the first time. Remember I told you that back in July, August? What should you do? Accept it for value and return it to the sender, the IRS, to settle the debt. You don't have to have a coupon attached to do this. Okay, remember what I did was I took the coupon at the bottom and I turned it into a money order. And I turned it into apparently a little bit, well, it was less than what was due. And for some reason well, it was for 2 years. That's what I did. It was more than for 1 year, less than for another year. So they applied it all to the 1 year and then sent me a check and applied some of it to the other year. They did send me a refund. When you accept and sign a document, you turn it into currency in the same way an FRN, Federal Reserve note, is currency. Any piece of paper that is backed by the faith and confidence of the people can be turned into credit with which you can make exchanges of value with your credit. Okay, so like that's what I'm going to help my daughter with. She received paper, okay, from the state looking for money, or they're making an offer for her to come and pay this money. So all she has to do now is convert it into a acceptance. The purpose of currency is to enable the exchange, the flow of commercial energy. The presentment has come to the fiction, and you are accepting the presentment. Okay, the presentment has come to the fiction, the ens legis, the straw man. And you, the creditor, the real being, are accepting the presentment and satisfying the liability with your credit for the fiction. The signature on the promissory note creates the money stated on the promissory note that represents your commercial energy. It's the full faith and credit of the people of the United States that gives FRNs the value that they have. Anybody on the street can do this. It is your signature, your blue ink signature, your credit sign that creates the credit in your name. In commerce, the man is always exempt. Accept the presentment, endorse it on the back, and send it to the IRS, because most of the commercial banks won't know what to do with it. And I can attest to that. I've tried that. The banks, and like I just explained to you, they don't know what to do with it. So send it to the IRS. A tax to you is already charged, but a bill is void of charges and has to be charged with your commercial energy before it can be used. In our system of commerce, the interest on any endeavor has to be returned to the creator, the principal of the principal account. Hence the popular phrase, return to sender. A bill cannot be returned to the principal because it has no charge to it. Commercial energy has to be in existence for the commercial charge to move it to ground. A copy of a presentment without a blue ink signature has no value. Charge it to the party that created the bill via the IRS. Once you charge the bill, the interest can be returned via the principal to the creator to extinguish, zero out the account. Again, this is for entertainment purposes only. And I have done this for entertainment purposes and can vouch for its effectiveness. And it's fun when it goes well. We'll get into you have a bond tomorrow. And we're continuing because I currently still have a bill for later years with the IRS. And they are getting picky about negotiable instruments that are returned or sent in. All right, so it's not as simple as it used to be. Although he did say on the back in here that you have to endorse it on the back, which I failed to do. And I didn't do it on the first one, and they still processed it. So that's the endorsement on the back is what I missed. And so that's where we're at now. Is I'm about to send in one that supposedly is going to be foolproof. All right, let's get started with Mass. How late did I go over? Oh my goodness. Okay, let's get started. Let me read any comments here. Who else is here? Greg, hello. CW, good day, everyone. All right. Can't wait to visit. And if you live near any volcanoes or fault lines, I recommend considering moving as the pole shift moves. Deum vobiscum et quoque pote, Oremus. O most holy Trinity, the Creator and Redeemer of all the faithful, grant to the souls of thy servants and handmaids the remission of all their sins, that they may obtain by loving prayers the forgiveness which they have always desired, who livest and reignest with thee, one divine family, forever and ever. Suscipe Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum Hanc Immaculatum Hostium, quam ego indenius famulos tuos offenditibi Deum meum vivum et verum pro inimicibus peccatis et offensionibus et negligentis meis, et pro omnibus circumstantibus, et pro omnibus fidelibus catholicorum, qui sacre defunctis ut mihi edidis proficiat salutem. Deum qui humanae substantia dignitatem mirabilis conditis mirabilis reformaster de nobis spiritus atque divine mysterium eius divinitatis esse consortes qui divinitatis nostrae fieri dignatis is particips Deum Iesum Christum Filium qui tecum vivit et reinat in unitate Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Offerimus tibi Deum calicem salutaris tuum de peccatis clementium, ut conspectu divinae majestatis tuae, pro nostra et totius mundi salute, cum odori suavitatis ascendat. In spiritu humilitatis et in animo contrito suscipiam rota Deum Iesum Christum, et sec fiat sacrificium nostrum et spectu tuo hodie ut placiat tibi Deum matronam nostra et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Veni sanctificator. Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, et sanctificita blata pro secundo, et accepere hoc sacrificium tuo sancto nomini praeparatum. Suscipe Sancta Trinitas in oblationem cum tibi eferimus a memoriam passionis, resurrectionis et discensionis Deum Iesum Christum, et in honorum Deum matronam nostrae et Papa Peter Sanctorum, et istorum et omnium Sanctorum, ut idis proficiat ad honorem nobis autem et salutem, et idi pro nobis intercedere dinentem in caelis, quorum memoriam agimus in teres pedi in nunc Christum Deum nostrum. Orate, ut meam ac vestrum sacrificium acceptabile fiat per Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Suscipiat Deum Iesum Christum sacrificium de manibus tuis et laudam et gloriam nomini sui, ad utilitatem quoque nostrum totiusque ecclesiae suae sanctae. Deum vobiscum, quoque pete, sursum corda habemus ad Deum. Gratias agamus Deum nostrum, dignum et justum est. Te igito clementes in matere patere Deum matram nostrae, Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, pe Deum Iesum Christum Filium tuum Deum nostrae, supplices rogamus et petimus, uti accepta habeas, et sanctificas, haec sanctam sacrificium ilibata, in primis quae tibi afferimus pro ecclesiam tuam sanctam catholicam, quam pacificare custodire ad honore et regere dignidis tot orbite rarum eque catholicae. Memento Deum famulorum catorum. We pray for the sick and the suffering. We especially pray for Luis Cantu, Katie, Gage, RM, Robert Dasco Sr. and Jr., Earl and Neil Lively, Maria Josephina Mose, Letitia, Mindy, Clarette, Mark Jr., Henry, Barbara, and Benedict Santa Croce, Mr. Nobody, the Cantu and Duarte families, Michaela McLarnon and family, Sarah and Becky, Jenny and Lena, Lori, Aaron and family, Maria and the Lineweber family, the Dasco, Nye, Tafor, Big and Wolf and Kane families and their intentions, and Alex Tafor. We pray for Mr. Nobody to receive the funding and strength needed to complete the first Sede Vacantis Catholic Council office in Monastery of Illinois. We pray for an end to all governmental allowance or sanctioning of abortion, transgenderism, transhumanism, child trafficking, child abuse of any kind, anywhere, place, or time. We pray for the establishment of a Catholic monarchy with a sound Catholic system of labor, human value, medium of exchange with no usury. We pray for courageous men to step forward as leaders of this Catholic society, to practice the good which is needed in order to bring in a Catholic monarchy. We ask for the reversal of the feminist ideology and a return to godly femininity, and that women cease working for Freemasons and corporations, and that they come to understand the raising of traditional Catholic families is a very high ideal and a necessity for sustaining a Catholic society. All these things written as well, we ask, with the intention of doing the Most Holy Trinity's will at all times. Et omnium circumstantium corum tibi fides cognita est ad nota devoltio, pro quibus tibi aferimus, veruque tibi afrotox sacrificem laudis, pro se suisque omnibus pro redemptione animarum suarum, pro spe salutis et regulamitatis suae, tibi redont vota sua aeterno Deum vivo et vero, communicantes et memorantes in primis gloriosae, semper Dei Matram nostrae, et Deum Iesum Christum, et beatorum martyrium tuorum Papae, Sancti Petri, et Sancti Lucia, et Sancti Jacinta, et Sancti Francisco, et Sancti Juan Diego, et omnium sanctorum tuorum corum meritis, praecibusque cancedas ut in omnibus protectionis tuae, uniam exidio pedinum Christum Deum nostrum. Quam oblatione de Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum in omnibus, consecratum ac ad abdanca feceli dineris ut nobis corpum, et sanguinem fiat edictis mi filium tuum Deum Iesum Christum, qui pridie quam patraetor recepit panem in sanctas aquanabilis manus suas, et derivatis oculis in calamate Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum suum omnipotentem tibi gratias agens, consecravit, fregit didique lumis sui digens accipit et mandocat ex hoc omnes. Hoc est enim corpus meum. Simini modo postquam ceremonia est accipienser hunc preclarum calicem in sanctas aquanabilis manus suas, item tibi gratias agens Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, consecravit dedique lumis sui digens accipit et bibite ex eo omnes. Hic est enim calix sanguinis mei, mysterium fidei, quae pro nobis et pro multis effundetur in remissione peccatorum, haequates cumque feceritis in memoria facetis. Unde et memoris Deum nostro tuis, et plebs tua sancta justum Christum filium tuum Deum nostrae, tam beata passionis nec non, et ben felis resurrectionis, sed et in caelos gloriosa ascensionis offerimus, praeclare maestati tuae de tuis donis actatis, supra quae propitio ac sereno utur respicieri digneris. Supplices te regamus Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, iube hic perferi per manus tuum, ut quod, ex hoc altaris participationis sacrosanctum Deum Filium tuum, corpus et sanguinem sincerimus, omni sanctificatione cae lesia gratia Dei pamor, per innum Christum Deum nostrae. We pray for those who have died, and we especially pray for August Bentz, for whom this Mass is being offered. Ipsis Deum et omnibum in Christum quiscentibum locum reficerii ducis et pacis, ut ondor gesta proclamar per innum Christum Deum nostrum, per quem hic omnia Deum Iesum Christum semper bona creas, sanctificas, vivicas, consecratis et praestas nobis. Per ipsum et cum ipso et in ipso, est tibi Deum Matram omnipotenti in unitate Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, omnis honor et gloria. Ave Dea, matronam nostra, gratia plena Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum tecum. Sanctam tuum in mulieribus, Dea matronam nostrae matram, Deum Iesum Christum, ora pro nobis peccatoribus, nunc et in hora mortis nostrae. Libera nos quae sumus Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, omnibus malis praeteritis presentibus et futuris, et intercedente beata gloriosa semper Dei matronam nostrae, cum Papa Petrum Sanctorum et omnibus sanctis da propicius pacem in diebus nostris, ut ope misericordiae Tuae aduiti et peccato, simus semper liberi et ab omni perturbatione secoli. Per Deum Deum nostrum, Iesum Christum, Filium Tuum Deum nostrum, qui tecum vivit et reinat in unitate Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, per aeternam. Pax Deum, Iesum Christum, sit semper vobiscum, et quoque apud te, hec mixtio consecratio copris et sanguinis Deum Iesum Christum, fiat ecipibus, nobis in et salutem aeternam. Pax tecum, et quoque apud te. Deum Iesum Christum, qui ex voluntate Deum matronam nostrae, quoprante Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, per mortem Tuam unum vivificasti, libera me per hoc sacro sanctum corpus et sanguinum, Tuum abonibus iniquitatibus meis et universis malis, et fac me Tui semper inhalare mandatis, et ad inum quam separare permittas, qui cum eodem Deum matronam nostrae, Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum vivis et regnam aeternam. Percepto corporis Tui Deum Iesum Christum codego indinius sumere praesimon non mihi proveniat, in judicium condemnationem sed pro tua pietate prosit mihi, ad tutumentum mentis et corporis, et ad me delam percipiendam, qui vivis et reinas, cum Deum matronam nostrae in unitate Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. In panem calestem accipiam et nomen Deum Iesum Christum invocabo. Deum matronam nostrum non sundinius, ut et subtetum meis in honte diquerbus sampatronum mea. Deum Iesum Christum non sundinius, ut et subtetum meis in honte diquerbus sampatronum mea. Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum non sundinius, ut et subtetum meis in honte diquerbus sampatronum mea. Corpus Deum nostrum Iesum Christum custodiet anima mea. Quid retribuam Deum Iesum Christum pro omnibus quae retribuit mihi, calicem salutaris accipiam in nomen Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum invocabo. Laudans invocabo Deum matronam nostrae et ab inimicis meis salvusero. Sanguis Deum nostrum Iesum Christum custodiet anima mea. Quod orisum sumus Deum Iesum Christum pidem et capiamus et temere et tempore fit nobis remedium sempiternum. Corpus tuum Deum Iesum Christum quod somsit sanguis quam potaviat heriat visceribus meis et praesta, ut in me non remaniat scelera macula quam purat sancta reficerum sacramenta. Requiem vobiscum, et quoque pote, oremus. May the prayer of thy suppliants profit the souls of thy servants and handmaids. We beseech you, most holy Trinity, that thou mayest free them from all sins and make them sharers in thy redemption. Who livest and reignest with thee, one divine family, forever and ever. Deum vobiscum, et quoque pote, ite mises, Deum gratia. Placiativi Sancta Trinita. Obsequim servitutis meae et praesta ut sacrificium corruculis tuae maestatis in nos auctoritibus et acceptabile mique et omnibus, pro quibus ilu doctoris et miserante propitiabile per Christum Deum nostrum. Sanctificat vos omnipotens Deum, Matronam et Filium et Spiritum Sanctum, Deum Matronam nostra et Deum Iesum Christum et Deum Patrum, Spiritum Sanctum, gratias. O most holy Trinity, I believe, I venerate, I hope, and I love thee. I beg of thee pardon for those who do not believe, do not venerate, do not hope, and do not love thee. Most holy Trinity, Dea Matronam Nostra, et Deum Iesum Christum, et Deum Patrum, Spiritum Sanctum, I venerate thee profoundly, and I offer to thee the most precious body, blood, soul, and divinity of Deum Iesum Christum, present here in reparation for the outrages, sacrileges, and indifference by which he himself is offended, and through the infinite merits of his most sacred heart and immaculate heart of Dea Matronam Nostra, I beg of thee the conversion of poor sinners. In nomine Dei Matronam Nostrae et Deum Iesum Christum et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Gracias. All right. Thank you for being here and for your prayers and your donations. Please pray for Greg as we get ready. I still have to find the ordination right papers and everything all over again. It's been so long. But please go and sanctify all those you meet, and we will look forward to seeing you tomorrow. You're quite welcome. Have a great day, everyone, and we'll get to this redemption thing hopefully before Trump changes our entire system, or it collapses, or there's a reset, whatever. All right, we'll talk to you tomorrow. Have a great day. Bye.